told Foxy it's your birthday, not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
Good evening and welcome to our April edition. This is April, right?
Yes.
April edition of Moana Nui After Dark presents Whatcha Watchin. How was everyone on the panel doing this evening?
Doing
good.
Fine.
Doing good.
Doing good. Doing great. How are you?
Absolutely.
All right. So
shout out to Outkast getting nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, inducted. Yay.
Sweet. I hope we all had better weekends than others who went through shenanigans.
What?
Me and Furious will talk about that in 2 weeks.
Oh, I cannot wait. These 2 weeks need to move real fast.
What's going on?
Shador Sanders.
Oh.
Yeah,
pretty much.
So, as always, those out there watching currently live.
Spoilers.
For those who are watching in the future, if you have not seen either film that we will be discussing, this is your only warning. So let's go ahead and get to it. G20 will be the first movie we discuss, or because I purposely made this because it was the only way I could describe the film out the gate. VP Agent Coulson squats behind the desk while President Amanda Waller fights terrorist Homelander.
I mean, yeah. Pretty much.
Was that Homelander?
Yep.
Yes.
I did not recognize him.
It took me a minute.
A horrible Australian accent he did.
Joy, don't feel bad. It took me a minute to catch it too. It took me a minute. You're not the only one.
I mean, that was the general synopsis of the whole film, because I didn't even know Agent Coulson was in the film until about, 40 minutes in, when it was on the plane and she took the call.
From the trailers, I didn't know anybody else was in it.
He was fighting. They was in the beginning. He was
left
there.
out. You left out President Amanda Waller being protected by Will Trent.
Right.
That's another one. Will Trent.
I'm sorry, I don't watch Will Trent.
You don't have to watch it religiously, but definitely watch it because it is a good show.
I knew he looked familiar. I just couldn't place, I'd seen the trailers, but I couldn't place his face or anything. So, but yeah,
I'll say this about it. It's not the kind of show where the episodes are, you have to pay attention to this episode to catch the next episode.
No,
but there's an overarching story.
Yeah. All right. So Viola Davis is the president, which is a nice change of pace for a lot of these films that we've had over the last decade-ish, roughly, where the president either takes matters into their own hands or their right-hand Secret Service agent is the star and they're the sidekick.
Right.
Because pretty much we've had, I think the only film that had a president of color was whichever one was Jamie Foxx and Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Olympus Has Fallen. What was it?
I think that was White House Down.
White House Down. Yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen is
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman is the vice president, but to start. But it's not Gerard Butler. It's the other dude.
It's not Gerard Butler, because that's what I thought it was.
That's what I thought it was. Hold on.
I don't think I saw that one.
I didn't either.
Yeah, there's different.
But
there's London Has Fallen, White House Down.
Fallen, yeah.
Olympus Has Fallen, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like him. He's in all of them.
It may be Gerard Butler. I don't know.
It's Gerard Butler. It's gonna be
Gerard Butler. Okay. Yeah. This film pretty much falls in line with the same thing. The president is trying to negotiate a some type of new plan. Naturally, Congress and the other.
Okay, so I'll describe it for you. I just saw it like last night, and so the president is trying to end world hunger by creating a digital currency for all of the like marginalized and smaller countries that are left out of the global economy. And they're able to do this, through, it's not cryptocurrency, it's something different, but some people think it's a good idea, but most developed countries are like, whatever, we don't really care about Africa, who cares, whatever. But there's undeveloped regions in every country. And so it's a great idea. She's trying to get support for it. And then she goes to the summit, which is in South Africa, and that's important. It's in South Africa. And then all hell breaks loose because, terrorism. And so that's what the movie is about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. But it's important. What she's trying to do is not just a regular like summit on like the environment or whatever. They're literally, they've figured out that they can solve world hunger. And so she's trying to convince all of these other like lazy, exploitative colonial countries to do something about it. And there's a few subtle nods in there to like other countries as allies that I thought were really cool too. So
yeah, very much so. Guest starring half the blackest cast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson plays her husband.
Yeah.
I don't want to butcher her name.
Marseille
Martin.
Martin plays the daughter.
He is grown.
Yeah, this girl,
like smarter than for her, too smart for her own good, overachieving daughter, who basically you first see her in the opening part of the film, and she is basically brought in from a night out because she spoofed the RFID cards in the White House.
Yeah,
she's smart. And then got caught on the internet like drinking a beer or whatever at the bar.
Yeah,
right.
Taking shots.
Taking shots at a bar in Georgetown, which is not uncommon.
And they throw that back in her face, which is
right. But crazy. I mean, remember when like Sasha's the oldest? Yeah. She got caught like doing like this little terrible twerk at a parade or something. It was really just kind of like out one time, and they're like, "What kind of children are they raising?" And someone was like, "Wow, she can't just go somewhere and dance." So imagine if the president's daughter is out underage drinking at a club.
Oh, I don't have to imagine. It happened early 90s when Bush was in office. His daughters was always in Georgetown because
they're drunks.
I was in high school at the time in DC, and let's put it this way, the white kids in my class knew about it, knew where they were at all times. It was like, yeah, so the Bush girls was out again tonight. And because the Secret Service, getting to them quickly, because it wasn't like they were out all night. They got caught regularly and swiftly. So it wasn't like it made news, but the rumors made the rounds because high school kids.
Oh yeah, I heard about that way off in Texas. Like, the Bush girls out here wilding. They stay drunk. Jenna Bush was drunk as a skunk.
She was. She was. Like 94, 95. Yeah, that's all you heard. Yeah, the Bush girls was out again tonight. It's all we heard every Monday morning coming in, like the whole junior, senior year. So yeah. But luckily we didn't have the technology that we have now then. So it literally was word of mouth.
Yeah. It was made a news story on the weekends, but it wasn't going to be like live tweeted out as it happened or anything like that. There was no going viral in the 90s.
Nah, at least not the way we go viral now.
No.
Like the narrative wasn't controlled by the mass media. So
so what do you think of the movie?
Homelander pretty much gets it in his head that he gonna
Stop
just
calling him Homelander.
Australian Homelander.
Would that be Homelander? Right.
The horrible accent. So somebody told him it was okay, I guess, and basically just decides I'm gonna jack the summit and steal everybody's money. Basically turned it into a whole bank robbery, which I mean, I guess because like you said, Joy, they were trying to, initiate a new currency specifically to facilitate the distribution of food to impoverished nations.
Right.
So.
For them to have, because it's not like they don't have goods. It's just trading those goods for currency is hard in those areas. So now here's a way to do it, and that's actually there's actually a precedent for that. The reason we have like Cash App and text to pay and all that kind of stuff is actually a Black woman whose name I don't remember right now, but she developed that, and she developed it after Hurricane Katrina because so many people couldn't get the funds that they needed. Because who can go back to town hall in New Orleans when it's all underwater? So this is an iteration on that. But this is also where the movie for me mimicked the first Die Hard, where you taking all these people hostage, but you really stealing. That's what you're really doing.
Yeah.
Right. Or was it Die Hard with a Vengeance?
No, the first Die Hard was a bank robbery.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think they're all bank robberies, basically.
Pretty much.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty much all bank robberies. They're robbing some large sum of currency in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, and Viola Davis as president is basically a war veteran who has a bum knee, but not from what you think.
Which I like that you don't find that out until much later in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
So
That she has a
bum knee is
bum
not
knee.
from the war?
Well, no,
so
it is from the war, but she didn't get the injury the way they're painting her as this injured wartime hero president, which she technically is, but she only had like a singular moment of when they caught the picture of her running with the
magazine.
kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But how did she hurt her knee?
She was shot carrying the kid out, but it wasn't in combat. And I think and that's the narrative that's painted throughout the entire film, is that she saw combat. And when she's, I won't say cornered, but there's a point in the film where she's telling someone like the truth is what actually happened. Like the bomb had already gone off. She basically ran in, grabbed whoever she could find alive, and it happened to be that kid, and she was running out. And that's when they snapped the photo. She was basically in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was kind of running away from the problem. And so she had like 5 minutes.
She was running away from, she was basically trying to save this kid running away from danger and got shot in the process.
And it
which
turned
also
into a
turns out how she met her husband, Anthony Anderson, because he's a doctor. And she ended up on his operating table, wherever they were stationed.
So technically she is a wartime hero president.
Yeah.
Technically.
And whatever works.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to run for president.
God, I don't even know what his name was in the movie, but y'all calling him freaking the Australian Homelander. But I think they was talking because he was there. He was like, I saw you. You weren't a hero.
Right.
I saw you. You were running away.
And that's part of why he's mad now. Yeah.
He's partially mad because his friends died what he felt was over nothing.
Yeah. But every war is over nothing.
Yeah, because he thought the conflict was pointless and nobody should have been there, and whatever was going on in the region should have just happened naturally.
Yeah, NYC player. I just didn't know what his name was in the movie. I know his name. I didn't know.
Anthony Starr is his real name. Yes.
I never knew that.
Yeah, in the movie, his name is Rutledge in the movie.
Rutledge. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. His name is Homelander. He is Homelander. He's always going to be Homelander. He ain't never going to live that down.
Australian Homelander.
Right? In this film, he's Australian Homelander. Thank you, Teresa. But if I see him in anything else and I recognize him, I don't know who Anthony Starr is. I know who Homelander is. That's who he's going to be.
Yeah, because they didn't even have his name under. They have everybody else's name, but his name in the movie wasn't underneath there. And that black female agent, her name, Noxola.
I don't know that they ever said what her name was. You mean the South African?
The two South. Yeah.
No, not. Oh, is that her? Maybe that is her.
That was the two agents that were guarding the kids at the end.
At the
Yeah,
end,
maybe that is her.
Undercover
Yeah. I
hotel.
don't know if they.
employee.
I don't remember them actually saying what her name was. Did they?
I don't
No.
think they mentioned their names, hers or the guy's name, but they were embedded into the hotel staff for like extra security.
Right.
by
I
the
just
South
love
African government.
the son when they came in. I know we jumping all around, but the son was so cute. He was like, y'all from Wakanda?
I mean, they did pull it off.
I
She did that with
mean,
that running tackle with the legs around the head and brought him down. I was like, yo, she got skills. She's like,
And
"Yeah,
if you
I'm
notice,
Wakanda."
every time they had a cool scene like that, you had some African themed music playing
Yep.
it low in
Yep.
the background.
Yep. That's why I said
Wakanda.
them hosting it in South Africa was important, because you don't get that. You don't get that in London or Europe or anywhere else. Yeah.
So maybe
not at all.
Wakanda does exist in this universe.
Yes, it does.
We don't.
Hey,
know.
they never said no. They
That
never
is true.
said no. They just smiled.
Yes. That's true.
So maybe.
Wakanda is a frame of mind.
As
It
Odin
is.
said in the I forget which movie, Odin is Asgard is wherever its people are.
Mhm. And like the Dora Milaje said, the Dora Milaje
Right.
have jurisdiction wherever
Wherever
the Dora
Wherever the
Milaje.
door exactly.
Find themselves to be.
Mhm.
But yeah, that to me the two age, I'm like, I really like how, and again, like so we're jumping all around. I like how when she freed them and she comes back and she's like, all right, you two are way too calm for what's going on right now. Tell me what your story is.
Mhm.
Like, I love the fact
Right.
that she just immediately
He
picks
knows.
up on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
even when he sees her the first time,
recognize, people who've
game
seen combat
recognized it.
recognize other folks who've seen combat.
Mhm.
Which is why I was wondering if that's why she threw him the knife.
I was thinking it was just because he was on the end.
Yeah, I think just
Yeah, he
where
was
he
easiest
was.
to get to. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
try
he
to give
also
him an
happened to be
opportunity to get free. Like, there's the hostages. Let me try to find a way to help them get free, distract the guards. He'll cut himself free and lead them to safety, not knowing that he's got training just like she does.
And then that kill towards the end of that sequence with the dude. Oh man, that was just wonderful. When he threw the knife and got old boy in the chest with it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
You know what I also like is late a little bit after that, where she's protecting her daughter when the daughter's trying to go hack the world or whatever, and you see the moment where she goes from president to combat veteran, and you almost hear her heart rate slow down and her breathing, like it gets the sound gets muffled, and she's just see and shoot, see and shoot, see and shoot, and one hitting everybody, which is hard to do. She had her training, and so now can't nobody say she's not a combat veteran, because she literally just saved the world, which is awesome.
Did it in the dark.
In the dark, in a dress for half the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of the dress, I love that she had the sneakers though. I love the sneakers.
Yes.
She was never comfortable in heels. They made that point at the very beginning.
And also, this is how you know that she produced this, because I feel like anybody else, that especially a man producing, would have thought that would have been cool for her to run around and do stuff in heels, like some other movies we've seen where spy girls have been in heels and whatever, which is always dumb to me. But also them red sneakers, and then the way she walks. Viola Davis does not have a model runway walk.
Right.
And for them to put it into the lore of her background, she got hit in the knee. She gonna limp. She gonna walk like this. So it just let her be able to she's like, I'm doing this movie in sneakers and I'm walking like I want to. Let's make the story work around it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can we talk about Useless White Man real quick though?
Yes,
like Agent Coulson.
I don't think we have time for that.
No, well, Agent Coulson wasn't useless. He was just at home. President and vice president not in the same place. But can we talk about how the Prime Minister of London could eat it the whole day? I was so mad at him for so many reasons, so many times. I wanted them to leave him so bad. I wanted him to die, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted him to die a stupid death. And for a second, for quite some time, I thought he was going to rat everybody out, you know? Because I kept waiting on him to try to save his own life by being like, she's down here or something like that. because I just didn't trust him.
There was the other thing that truly pissed me off, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I really only enjoyed half of this movie.
Mm.
To me, the latter half of this movie to me is what I enjoyed. I did not enjoy the beginning of the movie. Typically, I enjoy a slow build up of storytelling and building things up, but the first half of this movie to me was just bad. But the thing that annoyed me, one of the things that annoyed me the most was how she starts to doubt herself. And then we've got the white savior coming in to pump her up and kind of get her back in her mojo. I don't know. I'm tired of seeing that in black movie. Well, it's not really a black movie. At any rate, I'm tired of seeing that in movies where you've got, the black protagonist, they get to a low point, they don't know what's going on. Then you got the white savior who comes in is, you can do it, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know what? You're right. I can do it.
Who was the white savior?
You talking about Will Trent?
No, the Prime Minister of London. Remember how when they were talking, when she was telling the story of what had really happened in her combat, and she starts to get low and kind of has this self-doubt on her face. And then I forget exactly what his words were.
He tells the story of Winston Churchill, how Winston Churchill was like a combat photographer.
POW,
escaped and got home and then dined out on that story all the way up to being Prime Minister of England, of London, of Great Britain. Yeah. But I get what you're saying, but also don't forget, he's also the one who was like, you did one little stupid thing and got a picture for it, and now you think you're
like, why should I follow you?
About her earlier.
That's
he's
true.
Like, I'm not Captain America, all this other stuff, and then she kicks ass, and he was like, okay, now I'll follow you.
It took him around to come around to that, because when she was leading the group of them away, along with the France Prime Minister and the wife of the
France Prime Minister,
right? He was like, "Who put you in charge?"
We did,
right?
we did.
I'm like, it's 4 women. None of them are listening to you. Let's start there.
And you got the France Prime Minister, who also
like, I'm going with her.
All of those women was a good can kick some ass. And she leaned over. She's like choking the shit out of that man. She's like, let me get my heels behind this elevator.
That was awesome.
I love the fact when they were in the garage and she finally takes the heels off and you see just how short she really is. She's like a foot shorter than everybody.
She's like, they make me wear these shoes because I'm short. She's like, I don't have your
like 4'11".
Right? But hey, she did her part and choked old boy out.
I also like the Korean president's wife.
Yes,
she was awesome.
She's like, hey, no, and she just slept.
But the Korean president, she's like, hey, what is this? And she's trying to tell everybody, where does this go? I'm out.
Like she's just like, y'all not gonna listen.
I don't need y'all to save me. I will save myself. Y'all not listening. I'm gonna do this over here because this seems
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was adorable.
She was.
Oh man.
And the Koreans were some G's though, like the president and his wife, because she's back there saving herself and giving them another way around and everything. And then and I like that they tried to get the Korean to go first, and he was like, this is nonsense. The whole reading of the thing to catch all of the catch all of the voice things so they could deep fake everybody. He was supposed to go first. He's like, I'm not reading this. And he didn't. He never did.
He took that cut. He took that cut across the ear like a G.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and then I love how Homelander was like,
later that was kind of hurtful.
I like how Homelander was like, a tech savvy South Korean. I should have seen that coming.
Yep, because racism. But, and stereotyping. But also, so I'm deep into like K-pop and K-drama. So I'm listening to when she when the wife sees her husband and she's like, yo boy. I was like, I know that word. I know that means honey. That means she's saying, oh my honey, I'll miss you. And then when she got her boy and she's like, chugal, she's like, chugal. That means kill you. I'm killing you. Die. That's what she said over and over again. I was like, I'm so excited. 652 days of Duolingo is because I caught 3 words.
Oh man, is that all? Just 652 days.
Viola doesn't get the credit that she deserves because she should have damn sure got the credit for the Woman King.
652 days. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She was tough.
Getting better,
She was
though.
kicking ass in Woman King, and she should have gotten it. I'm not surprised that she had this role. I'm not.
She's a black woman. She's not going to get the credit. Look at Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they try to throw her some little honorary Oscar bone, which is bullshit.
Yep.
No.
But I do love the fact that she was kicking ass in this movie like she was.
Yeah,
I do too.
Because they didn't
She
water her
trained
down.
for the Woman King, but this one she said she trained and she wanted to make it look like she really was shooting. So that's why she did all of that.
Combat training,
yeah.
You know what?
It
I'm going to back up on that about the honorary Oscar bone because
The
she
honorary
looked
Oscar
real.
bone,
She
Joy?
looked real.
Huh?
Back to the Oscar thing. I would say that throwing her the honorary Oscar is some bullshit. However, hearing recently that the people voting didn't even watch all the movies.
Right.
They really.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they passed the rule where you have to watch the movie.
Watch the movies now, yeah.
Right.
See,
Yeah,
I had no idea that they didn't watch the movies.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Neither did I. I didn't realize they didn't. Because I didn't understand when Will Smith had to get everybody, and there was some movie that he wanted everybody to watch. I guess it was his movie, and he invited everybody over to have them watch the movie because they wasn't watching it.
Yeah. So, it's why Straight Outta Compton didn't get nominated. It's why Color Purple only got nominated for a handful of things. The governing body thinks they're doing the right thing by expanding the pool and making the pool of voters more diverse by adding more voters. It's only giving reason to the older white demographic of the voting body reason to not see films featuring people of color. Yeah. Outside of foreign French films. Because that's pretty much the only time they're going to see a foreign film.
But what I also like that they changed is you don't have to see all the films, but if you don't see all the films, you can't vote.
You can't vote, right? You have to see everything that is suggested. And if you don't,
I wonder how are they going to enforce that, though?
I don't know. Book report? I don't know.
I mean, you can't lie and say you saw something. Look, we already know they refuse to watch certain films. That is out there. And it's damning because when the general audience rallies behind a film and says, we like this, and the voting body is like, well, we didn't see that, that's a problem. That shows you that
the opposite is also a problem because I will never understand how Shape of Water got an Oscar. That is the stupidest Splash knockoff ever. But I feel like they didn't watch it, but they were like, oh, artsy movie. Oh, it's getting lots of buzz, blah, blah, blah. Vote for it. And didn't watch it to know that this is Splash. Set in World War II.
I will die on the hill that Mulholland Drive was absolute bullshit. That is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I wish I had more hands.
Right.
Down.
But these movies win Oscars.
Yeah.
But the Woman King doesn't. Black Panther doesn't get nominated for best movie or whatever because it's a superhero movie. But that bullshit wins best picture Oscars and stuff.
Right.
It defies logic.
I'm looking at the cast of Mulholland Drive, and I'm glad I didn't watch it.
I was about to make sure you
look like vanilla ice cream with vanilla sprinkles.
Right. The cast looks horrible.
Look, I don't care how much people like $1 Million Baby. That should not have been nominated for everything.
Not for everything. It was a good movie. I'm not gonna say it wasn't.
It was a solid movie, but it was literally nominated for every category they had.
And now we know it's because they didn't watch nothing else.
Right.
Hell, are we certain that they watched $1 Million Baby?
Possibly.
Clint Eastwood was in it, and he also directed it, I believe. So yeah, they watched it.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely watched it. So, but yeah.
So.
All right. Final thoughts on G20.
It was good.
It was a good movie. Mm-hmm. It's worth a look. It's out on Netflix, so you shouldn't have any problem watching it.
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that it's out on Amazon
Video.
Prime, so you shouldn't have any problem watching it. And it was fun. It was just as good as any other President Saves the World movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second half is much better than the first.
Mm-hmm. One thing we didn't talk about, and I hate to, I don't hate to go back.
No, it's fine.
One thing we didn't talk about was the white woman who ended up being the villain.
Oh yes, the Secretary
Hillary Clinton.
Finance.
Yeah, yeah, she was the Hillary Clinton character.
Hillary Clinton.
Right, because remember Hillary Clinton was. I promise you, in the middle of the night, she still does voodoo dolls against Obama because he stole her chance or whatever when he became the nominee. And, yeah, and so you see how and it was foreshadowing, but I didn't catch it at the time. I just thought, yeah, that's how white women do. When they were on the plane at the beginning of the movie, and Hillary Clinton character is like, so we had our ups and downs, but we came back around to being friends, and the president was like, we would never stop being friends, and there's that awkward and I'm like, oh, you never stop being friends, but she hates you, and then I got her again. Right.
But see, at that point, she's a throwaway character. She's not going to matter any further going on until stuff starts going down, because Australian Homelander obviously is answering to somebody. Who is it? And it turns out to be her. So, but yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't, have a distinction between the beginning and the end. I just enjoyed it. But that's just my opinion.
And yes, it is a slow build, because I mean you're setting the stage for all the fun stuff that you enjoy in the second half of the movie series. So yeah, is the build not as enjoyable? But the build is never as enjoyable as the action for a film like this.
Remember the phrase "slow build."
Slow build, yes.
We move to the next movie that we're going to discuss.
Right, and before we do that, the other thing that's odd about it is talking about slow build. I loved the slow build in WandaVision. So it's not that a slow build is bad. It's just in this instance, I didn't like it.
See, and that's crazy, because there was other people was like, oh, it was too slow. And they couldn't deal with the black. I'm like, how could y'all not like black and white movies? Yeah. It's like, is it me? Is it because I'm a boomer X? I'm not understanding. Don't like black and white movies. This is the black and white.
So again, it's just this instance of a slow burn I didn't enjoy. But slow burns you're absolutely right, can be wonderful for setting up the story. It's just like I said, this one didn't do it for me.
Execution just didn't hit with you.
No.
Yeah. It feels like they just put a bunch of scenes in the first half to set up stuff for later without it really, really flowing well together, which is probably what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still a good movie. It wasn't, it was a solid 7.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
I definitely recommend people watch it, because it is watchable. Yes, absolutely.
All right. And
wait. Manny. Shout out to Manny for jumping out that car. Manny was the real one. He's like, my job is protecting the president.
Right.
With a bullet in his side.
For you, Special Agent Will Trent. He told you that. Yes.
Manny, we got to get a shout out to Manny.
All right.
Boy, shot and could easily have just been like, what's happening? I'm gonna be passed out. And he's like, no, where's the president? And jumped out of a moving car with a bullet in him. If my man don't do that, I don't want him. Yeah, I'm gonna be alone forever. But I just want to shout out. Okay, I'm really done.
Sure, nothing else you want to shout out. All right. Feature discussion of the evening. I'm gonna take a deep breath and calm myself while we talk about this film. and I would try not to lose my mind over one meat.
It's too late for that.
Right. I think
you losing your mind right now. We watching you lose your mind.
Somebody else take over.
So, Sinners is an excellent movie. If you haven't seen it by now, you're doing life wrong. Like, it's been out long enough for you to have seen it 2 or 3 times, like the rest of us.
Right, 3 times.
I remember when it was first coming out, like, you know, people seeing previews or whatever, early releases, and they're like, "This is the best work Coogler's ever done." I was like, "What? Y'all didn't see Wakanda?" I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, he got good work, but I mean, how is a vampire movie the best thing he's ever done? And then I saw it and I was like, this is not only the best work he's ever done, it's the best movie I've seen in a long time. Like, I can't say when I have been compelled, like I cannot stop talking about this movie, and I will go see it as many times as anybody want. I'm not tired of it.
No.
You know, it's great. It is amazing. And so
I saw Black Panther 12 times.
For those who don't know, because you've been under a rock or whatever.
And we're going to spoil the shit out of it. So,
I've never seen anything.
I give this movie 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It is perfect.
10 out of 10.
I cannot find anything wrong with this movie.
10 out of 10. I mean, I didn't even leave the parking lot. I had downloaded the soundtrack and I was in the movie theater parking lot. Just like, I need this soundtrack. I think
I gave it 11 out of 10 on my Facebook page, but it is a tour de force. This is a defining piece of work. Like, he will be known by this forever.
Yeah.
And as well it should be. If this doesn't get several Oscar nods, then just fuck Hollywood. Like, they don't deserve my money ever again. But there's so many things to talk about. So we can start off talking about the movie itself and the character breakdown. Then we can get into it.
Can I say real quickly first? Yeah. All I want to say is, because all of y'all agree 10, 11, 12 out of 10, I don't agree. Okay. I just want to get that in before we start discussing the ins and outs of the movies. But
okay,
that's fair. That's fair. I had another friend of mine post today that she hated it. She thought it was the worst thing she saw in a long time, and she can't understand why nobody likes it. I don't like her that much, so I didn't. But her thing was she took it at face value, and she's like, they never even said where that first vampire came from, and like, she got that in her head as a problem, and so the rest of the movie was tainted for her because she's like, they don't even say where he came from. I was like, who cares? Where the vampire came from?
But that's the funny thing. That was I saw it on TikTok, and they told you to go to it wasn't in movies, or it was in the magazines, or what do you call it, the newspapers. There's three separate newspapers explaining where the hell he came from. And everything that happened. There was a ship or that from,
they had those links on Spotify, I think. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was on Spotify.
So her thing was, she didn't want to have to pay attention. She didn't want to have to do all that work for a movie. She's like, she just wanted to go and look at it and be entertained. I was like, well, you know, there's movies out there for that. So this wasn't for her. And there's a whole spectrum of people in between. It was like, it was all right. I didn't think it was all that. Some people got grossed out by that one exchange of liquids, and was like, I couldn't mess with the movie after that because it was gross. Now I will say, every time I've seen it, I've been like, this movie is great.
Hold up, let me back up a little bit, because
I want to know more about. I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Having beef with the film because they don't know where the first vampire in the film that we see comes from. If you listen to dialogue later in the film and he explains, you know, when Sammy is saying to our father, he starts saying it too. He's like, yes, you know, Catholics, when they stole my daddy's land back in Ireland, said these same words to me.
Thank you.
Now you know where he came from. But if you turned your mind off from that point going forward and just tuned out the rest of the film because I'm not going to enjoy this because I don't know where he came from, like, everything is explained if you pay attention to dialogue and what you see on screen. Because the thing I like about Coogler, his storytelling style, because a lot of Black artists do this, there are normally two stories going on at the same time, right? There's a story that's being told audibly, and then there's a story being told visually through the actions and the scenery of what's happening.
which is why you have to see it more than once, because you keep missing things. You're paying attention to one, and then you got to come back and see the other things. I'm listening. I see it. Sorry, James, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. And this is for everybody whose attention span is no bigger than a gnat. Yes, that is aggressive and attacking. I don't care. Have a little bit of what's it called? Patience. Yes, there you go. Patience. But no, you want everything spoon-fed to you from the get-go. Like
that's this generation. They don't want to have that, what Fierce is saying, that slow build to get you, to entice you, to make you see. Because throughout the whole damn movie, I was like, okay, the Indians are coming back. Are they going to save them now? Every time somebody was about to get killed, I was like, the Indians are coming. When are they coming?
I was really hoping we were going to see more. I was really hoping we were going to get to see more of them, because to me, whether it's a movie or a series, that group of vampire hunters that we see at the beginning, there's a story there that needs to be told.
And we might get that story.
We might.
Because Ryan Coogler's deal said that he would own this movie after 25 years, but he also immediately owns any rights to any sequels spun off in this, sequels or prequels, any spinoffs in this universe. So I would love to see a movie about the Firebringers and the Choctaw and how they got to him getting away, you know?
Yeah. Now that's probably more what I care about. How'd he get away as opposed to where he came from? I don't care where he came from.
Well, so hold on a second. So what was being said about him, about a newspaper story?
There's 3, if you look on Spotify, and it's so funny because they use Ryan's birthday and Michael's birthday, not the year, but the birthday of whatever events happened. So there was the boat that burnt up that came from Ireland. When it landed, everybody was dead. Because
there was no bodies, but it was blood everywhere.
Right, it was blood everywhere because he turned everybody into vampires, but he got away, and the sun came up and killed everybody else. So that was that. So that's how he came in there. And somebody said that they saw some man whose body was smoking. So that's how you knew that he was running away.
Right.
And then the second one.
It sounds a little bit like the last voyage of is it Demeter?
I didn't.
Oh no,
essentially, there's a ship coming from somewhere overseas to America, and there's a vampire on board. And by the end of the movie, if I'm not mistaken, damn near everybody's dead except the vampire.
Yeah, the Demeter.
Yeah.
Why y'all can't say Demeter? Like that's a whole god.
Right.
I don't know who Demeter is.
I couldn't remember which one it was, but like it's just when you started talking about the newspaper and the ship, I'm like, wait a minute, I know I've heard that somewhere before. So it just kind of makes me wonder, does that tie in some kind of way? I don't know. I don't know. And then, like you said, when we see him, his body is smoking, and he's running away from that group of Choctaw vampire hunters.
Choctaw. You know, some mispronouncing shit. But so yes, he's probably burning as he ran away from the boat. But the newspaper clipping was years before the events in the movie. So he's been in the States for years. It's probably why he's probably made and lost people along the way, but he got on the radar of the Choctaw and they were like, you got to die. And he ran in. So this is where you see the first bit of white privilege, because here's a white guy. He is on fire. He looked like he got leprosy when he shows up on these white people's door. And he sees that he's trying to figure out what's going to get them to let him in. And he sees that Klan outfit on the bed. So then he's like, those dirty engines, blah, blah, blah. And they try to kill me. They took my wife. That's always the threat for white supremacy. They did something to my white woman. That's always what they go to. And immediately both of those white people were like, yeah, come on in. We'll save you from those evil Choctaw out there. Because even they said, Choctaw ain't not around here for miles. They were skeptical at first until he started saying, they took my wife. I'm a coward. Help me out. And then Then you see, and first of all, when they showed up, your boy was bad with the cross bullets and everything, looking like
yes,
looking like a U.S. Marshal. I was like, you better do the damn thing. And he and very calm, ma'am, we're hunting a very dangerous being, and we think he came this way. Is he in there with you? No, he's not what he seems to be. Are you sure you haven't seen anybody? No. All right.
Right. Okay.
Because his boy was like, "Yo, the sun's going down. Fuck all this."
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of people were like, "How come they didn't come back?" And the other answer is, "Why should they?" He tried. They tried to take vampires to go hunt.
Pieced out faster than everybody in Suge's juke joint.
Right?
Which is like,
once you tell me
who
no,
this woman? Whoop, time to go.
I'm out.
Shut it down. I'm gonna go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then she's holding the gun on him. Look, I'm trying to save you. You don't want to be saved. So deuces. And if you think about it, he probably would have been wandering around with the white people for a while, except Sammy started singing and drew them that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But before we get to Sammy singing, I think Sammy's father, I'm not sure, because I've only seen it once for the premiere, and my husband said he wanted to see it, so I need to go back and see it again. But there was somebody made a deal with the devil. Or
that's not no. So you're thinking about Bobby Johnson, and we're not certain, or let me not say we're not certain, because I've seen people make the comparison between Sammy and Bobby Johnson, because the story of Bobby Johnson is that he sells his soul to the devil for his ability to play the guitar as well as he does, and it's down at a railroad crossing.
The crossroads.
Yeah,
the crossroads. Right.
I've heard people make that comparison, but at least in what we've seen, we don't know if it's supposed to be the story of Bobby Johnson or not, because we don't get enough information.
But no, Sammy's father knows that he can sing because he told him. Sammy said, "My father told me my singing will bring the devil." How did he phrase that?
I just took that as him being so religious.
Yeah,
and he was okay with the gospel singing, the religious singing, but if you sing outside the church, that's secular, and that's gonna draw the devil. The devil's gonna come for you singing this devil music, basically.
And when he says, so the line is, you keep singing that devil music for drunkards and wastrels or whatever, and one day the devil's gonna follow you home. And I don't think he really meant it literally. I think it was just a figure of speech for a man of God to say, you keep running. What did he say? You lay down with dog, you wake up with fleas.
Fleas, yes.
It was along those lines. Yeah, but there is no relation to Bobby Johnson's story and Sammy specifically, because Kugler said
I knew that. I was just trying to see, because once Sammy started to sing, it's like he said it. He was like, when I sing, I can feel it, and that's when he brought everybody back, or he brought the past to the future, or was it the other guy that told him that?
It was the other guy.
The what was the other black guy's name? The Delta.
Yeah.
The one is like, you don't know nothing about
jazz.
And
the blues is something we brought from home. Yeah, that's in that part when he's talking about it. And then you have the narrator who talks about the griot, the firebringer, and the filly, which is because there's an Irish version of a person that can pierce the veil. There's a Choctaw version, and there's an African version, which are the three demographics in this show.
Yes.
Yep.
And which you can see, because there was those three, the different dancing, that's why I said the soundtrack. If they don't get nominated for this fucking soundtrack, it's just, I mean, my head was even bopping with the vampire singing about "I'm going to eat Joe Bob" or whatever that
I've been so mad about that.
I was even bopping my head to that. I'm like, I can't. This whole soundtrack has me by the throat. I love it. I love this soundtrack. I can't say that I love. I can't believe I'm saying that. I love this soundtrack more than I love the 2 Black Panther soundtracks.
I think it's more relatable than the 2 Black Panther soundtracks. And then I can't listen to the second, the Wakanda Forever soundtrack, because that Rihanna song just breaks me down every time I hear it. I can't listen to it. Like visceral, guttural, ugly crying every time I hear it. So I had to put that down. But this one I like. And not for nothing, but that Irish jig slaps too. Like whatever he was singing,
Right.
little river dance. I love how Black people have been talking about the vampire song slap though. Like we've all agreed mostly that him and his little jig and his footwork, they're like, yo, he got footwork with the little, because that is what the river dance is an Irish jig made, commercialized and everything. But him doing it, and the thought that I had, and because I've been talking about this nonstop since the first time I saw it, the thought that I had the last time I got on Threads talking about this was, like, Sammy is able to pierce the veil and call spirits, etc. What if Remick, the Irish vampire, was a Philly? What if he's the guy that could do that in his home nation, Ireland, and got caught by a vampire and lost his connection to the spirits that he had been used to calling, which is why he's so caught up in, I've got to get this power back from Sammy or whatever. That might also be how he ran afoul of the Choctaws, probably going after their firebringer. And they were like, not today, Satan. And they ran it off.
Literally.
That would be a
would think since
backstory.
Because there's one part in the movie where he's doing his little, this is the jig, when he's doing his little jig and everything, and they around him in a circle, they like, they all come back and like, yo, they dap him up and they all like hugging on him or whatever. But he is not looking at anybody around him. He is looking up, as if he is looking for his ancestors that will never come again, because he lost that tie, because the soul is trapped in that body. And I think that's why he wants to get Sammy, because maybe he's thinking Sammy can make a three-way call or something to his ancestors.
But what gets me though is, if he lost his ability, you would think he would realize if he turns Sammy, his ability is going to be gone too.
Desperation doesn't lead to logic.
Fair.
That's true.
Fair.
But he said he wanted Sammy's song. He didn't really, he didn't indicate that what he wanted to do was to turn Sammy. He said he wanted his song.
Mm-hmm. But I think, they had that whole hive mind thing going on. So maybe once he turned him, maybe he's thinking that if I get that song will work better, Maybe
if he's got enough of them who are doing it, maybe I lost mine, but collectively we might be able to bring it back. I didn't think about it that way. So that could be something to think about too. Yeah,
he's been running around trying to collect soul singers like Pokemon. Like, I need 5 more.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta turn them all. Gotta turn them all.
Gotta turn them all. Yeah.
You might be right, Joy. If they ever do that backstory about the Choctaw, I would definitely be like, Joy was right. Joy was right. They was trying to get. They was trying to get them. That's why he started getting the chase.
There's a story there to be told that I think Coogler would do an amazing job telling.
Because they were organized. It wasn't like they just was chasing him down without any understanding. They knew exactly what they was dealing with. They was ready. I need to go watch it again now, because I want to see if they had any wooden stakes and stuff on them, as part of their gear. Because I just was focused on the little bullet cross, the bullet vest and everything. But I wonder, they probably did. Because he's got great attention to detail. I'm sure they did. But
either that or silver bullets.
Yep. Silver bullets are werewolves, but it'll slow them down. Like they said, it'll help a little bit.
He said it would slow them down.
Let's get into the twins.
Yes. I be wanting to get into the twins.
My favorite character.
Damn, Michael,
Elias and Isaiah. Elijah, excuse me.
Smoke and Stack.
I was thinking about the scene when they're at the train yard, and she walks up and is talking to Sammy and is like, "Is that Smoke or Stack?"
That's how you know she didn't love him, because she didn't know who it was. She couldn't tell her man by his voice alone.
She loved what he could do.
Right. You talk about get turned out. He turned her all the way out.
Right.
Yeah, so much so she almost got him killed
multiple times.
And that train station scene. And this is the thing. People really need to get this. Like, he wasn't just shushing her because she was being loud about it. Think about where they were.
Right.
That's a white train station. The only black folk there are literally getting off the train.
Performers.
Right. Performing or working there in some capacity. Very few of them are traveling.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they may have to go through that station because they're going from their small town to another small town, and that's just in the way. But
everybody can't pass, ma'am. Everybody can't pass like you.
Everybody can't pass. And that's the thing with Mary that irked me through this film. It's like you're walking both sides, but it's kind of like you've been in one world so long, you forget that your darker complexion brethren, you're going to get them lynched saying and doing the wrong thing.
Exactly. She was always going to get him killed one way or another. And because I had that argument online with people, they were like, well, everybody knew she was black because she's from there. Everybody black knew she was black, but they were in a white train station. Right. Because even Stack is like, lower your voice. Hey, girl, you know, he's looking around like, hey, girl, you about to get me fucked up in here. Everybody saw that. And even, and it wasn't like everybody knew she was black because when Sammy saw her, he was like, it's a white woman looking at you.
Right.
Right. When Remick first saw her, why is she in here?
Exactly. And if she had minded her business and got on that train, none of them would have got turned.
Right.
That we know of. I mean, Cornbread still had to use the bathroom.
Yeah, Cornbread was going to have to use the bathroom. He was going to be the way.
But
those memes for that is killing me. Every time I see those, it's like, you trying to get in? You've been in here all day. You've been in here all day. Why are you asking to come? Nah, man, you're not.
The one meme I'm surprised nobody made is you gonna eat your cornbread.
Oh, I saw those. I saw a couple.
Oh,
of those.
Somebody did make them. Okay. I didn't see any of those.
I saw it was the Remick with the blood on him and the cornbread like side to side. He's like, you gonna eat your cornbread? It's like I saw that. I saw one of those. But actually, there's a video that I want James to show. It was the first one I sent you, where the guy is pretending to be Annie, because it talks about that. You got it?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now. Make sure this is the right one. Nope, that's Remick.
Yeah.
Well, let's just hit it anyway.
Okay.
Plan. First of all, Black Lives Matter.
Bro, this motherfucker an ally. How do you say I know how you like to be licked in your native language? I got plans. Oh, you can't let us in because we're clearly got you. Yeah. I ain't trying to go to none of them white places though.
No, there's no season in that.
Yeah, y'all gonna have to get bit, unfortunately.
This is not accomplishing what you're thinking it's accomplishing.
Y'all mad at us because we vampires, but when are we gonna focus on the real enemy here? England.
When are we
gonna
gonna
focus on them people? See, we family. We'll get there. Y'all let Haley Steinfeld in there, no problem. But Ireland's where you draw the line. Okay, I'm sensing some bias. You got to get eaten, homie. Peace, love, freedom, equality.
Come on in, motherfuckers!
I look good when I did that? That look good? All right, cool. Let's get to killing.
Get off of your knee, white man.
What's y'all problem? Like, y'all don't want to be happy? Now we gonna walk away real slow, just in case y'all change y'all mind.
Get out of here! Y'all part of the Klan?
First of all,
oh my gosh. Oh,
that was funny.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
That line of we gonna leave, we gonna walk away real slow.
Just in case y'all change your mind, like we ain't. But hit. This is the one that you want to enjoy. Let me get this one up quick. Oh my gosh, because all of these have pretty much been insane.
Yeah, he's funny.
Cornbread, now go ahead and let me in.
Since when is your big ass need help getting into anything? How tall are you? 6'5"?
6'6".
You dead, ain't you? Nah, you dead. Because what help we gonna even provide for you? We all gonna eat this garlic to make sure that nobody is a vampire.
I don't like the taste of garlic very much.
All right, then go outside then.
I ain't
my bad.
I'm Sammy.
Shooter.
Come on,
shooter. Because what
don't do all that.
recommendations for? This ain't the bear.
Y'all not gonna let us in because we white?
That is correct and accurate.
So how in the world did Mary get in?
Oh. Now you got jokes now. Now that's
I
funny,
got
but watch
jokes.
how you talk about family. Watch it.
So why couldn't none of your magic save our baby then?
Nigga, I don't know. Why would I have the answer to
My
that?
bad.
Obviously,
My
if it
bad.
could
I
have
was
been,
just feeling some type of way.
So lucky you fine. You need to stop talking and come over here and show me your body and forget me. If I get bit, do not have me out here dancing with them white people. Wooden stake in the heart, all right?
I can't do that, Annie.
You want to see your baby in the afterlife?
Yes.
Then
yes,
get
I
to
do.
stabbing, motherfucker. I bet not do one Irish jig.
It was probably your stale grease that got my stomach.
I ain't
all
never
messed
had no
up.
stale grease in my life. Let me come out here and beat your ass. Oh, nah, you almost got me. I'm for real. Go ahead and shoot him.
It's me, Cornbread. Now go ahead and let me in.
Since when is your big ass need help getting into anything? How tall?
I didn't think about that until I saw that video, and he was like, "Yo, stale ass grease." I never had stale ass grease in my life. He did try to rile her up enough to step past that threshold.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and he's like, ah, you got me. I love that guy. I don't know who he is, but he's hilarious.
But yeah, that it's because what I'm still trying to figure out when the twins left to go up to Chicago, because it wasn't after they killed their father.
They went to the military after they killed their father. Which would have been, and they left roughly 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the film was in what, 31 or 32?
32.
32. So that would have been.
So that would have been 25.
25.
Mm-hmm.
And so them fighting in the war, I don't know what war they would have been.
World War I.
When was World War I over? When that 1914?
Was it? Let me double check my dates.
That's the part that threw me off. I was like, where were y'all?
Because the other thing is we don't truly know how old they are. So they might be a little older than we think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1914, 1918. Never mind.
Yeah, because they said something about German trenches.
Germany, yeah.
Was there any war going on in Germany in 1925-ish? You search that. I'm gonna keep talking. So about the twins. So Smoke and Stack. First off, I love the names, which is also a nod to like a blues song, if I'm not mistaken. But everybody's going through thinking that Smoke is the good one. Smoke is the evil one. Smoke is the bad. Smoke is the violent one. You know, you always have like a good twin and an evil twin. Mm-hmm. Smoke is the evil twin. Stack is very soft-hearted. And I pointed this out online. You never see Stack do any violence to anybody until he's the undead. Before that, even killing the snake, he threw the knife to his brother to kill that snake. Stack ain't really about the violent life. Stack is a smooth talker. He's kind of soft-hearted. Even when he talked about his dad beating him unconscious, he's like, but he ain't mean it. Like, he seems to be nicer in spirit than Smoke. Smoke is like, everybody can get this smoke. Everybody can die.
Smoke is probably the one that's kept them alive all this time.
He absolutely is, because he said that multiple times. This dude don't know how to watch his own back.
Yep.
You know, he sent Sammy with Smoke just in case, because he sent Sammy with Stack because Smoke don't need no help. You know? He shot somebody in the street just for trying to rob him. Yeah, Smoke crazy.
He did sweet talk that little girl into being his watch and into being the lookout for his truck.
He paid her. He didn't sweet talk her.
Well,
he said, "Come here. I'll give you 10 cents. I give you 10 cents to stay here." And then, because when he first said, "I'll smoke," she tried to run. He goes, "I ain't gonna hurt you. I'm trying to put some money in your pocket." So yeah, he did talk her into that. Yeah.
The negotiation was probably
like,
different.
You're not negotiating. I need you to
very nice.
It was different than had it been a man. I would say it that way. I'll say it that way.
Well, she was still a child.
Yeah. Well, if it was a young boy, he probably would have done the same thing. He was putting them up on game about how to know your worth back in the 1930s.
You're right.
And then, I love the juxtaposition of her taking whatever he offered, and he had to teach her how to negotiate. And then you get to Grace. Grace is like $15 for this, $14.50, that in one color, and like she's like, "I'm gonna get this money off you." Grace was no joke.
Yeah. Which ends up being something Grace. That we see later on in the movie, where we see she's only about the money.
Real quick, 1925. What was that? The
Grace is about herself.
Bulgarian War.
And that's ultimately what got them messed up, because if she hadn't sent her husband outside to go get the car.
Well, everybody was leaving. So at that point, no one knew what was going on.
Okay.
So
there was a war going on and they must have got sent over there. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Greek
you.
Bulgarian. So she sent her husband out there because everyone else had already gone. Now,
did you just jump back into the movie? Okay.
Joy, we're getting some real bad lag from you.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, like when Smoke was originally not Smoke,
I just
Stack.
figured that out, so I'm gonna just sit here and be quiet.
Stack getting bit by Barry and her running out basically sends everybody into a frenzy. So yeah, everyone's leaving at that point because why am I blanking on her name? Chinese Grace.
Right.
So her thing was, all right, if everyone's going, then shoot, let's get going too. I mean, why not? We ain't got no reason to stay here. Party's over. We did the setup. We got paid. Presumably, they already got paid because a lot of what they were there for, they was going to take money before the whole thing, popped off for the night. So they would already got their money. So why stick around? Yeah, honey, go ahead and get the car.
But James, it's specifically how that scene plays out because they're worried about Stack trying to figure out what's going on with them. The shit hits the fan, and she says, "No. We're here to help them with the party, not that." Which to me, that's clearly we got our money. There are other problems. You're on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's to me that's a little different than just all right, we out.
Because Bo wanted to stay and help.
Yes. I'm guessing Bo and them about the same age. They probably grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
He realized we have to help each other.
Yeah.
His wife wanted the money and was out. Because again, like Joy said, with the negotiating at the very beginning, she's about that money.
And there's a meta story along with that too. Like not story, but like comparison of different factions in different Asian communities where some of them are out for self and some of them are looking for community, even community with Black people. And then it isn't until they start getting hate crimes committed against them, then they want to all come together and look for us to help them fight their battles. The same way she did at the end. Once her daughter was in danger, she's like, oh, it's go time. Oh, but you wanted to leave us earlier. Matter of fact, they were still trying to save her life, but she was willing to risk everybody else's life to save her, to
her daughter.
Her daughter, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was selfish. I will say, though, she went out like a G. She heard that we're going to burn together until death do us part.
While stabbing him in the heart.
Yep.
Like, you going, I don't care if I'm on fire, you going to burn too.
Yep. I haven't seen anybody talk about the fact that we say in the Black community, the roof is on fire all the time. Exactly what they did.
And also that's why my thing says more than one drop. That one drop of Black blood is what Mary has. A little 1/8. Your ass is Black. Once they find out that you have that, and I'm just so irritated with our generation, not our generation, because our generation knows the other generations that don't understand, and they were all like, oh, she would never pass for being Black. Y'all missing the point. Do y'all not understand where that one drop of Black blood came from? Do y'all not understand that? Right. Because Massa has been sleeping with the slaves. You have the house niggas and you have the field niggas, and they've been sleeping with the house ones. And how you think the light skinned ones happen? I don't understand.
And let's say what it is. Not sleeping with, raping.
And not only that, no choice. Rape those women, get a half breed baby. I'm just using their language that's related to you. So you sell that baby off to somebody else, especially if it's a girl. Right around the time she turns 13 or 14, sell her to somebody else so she can be somebody else's concubine. Yep.
Which is why they keep getting to be more and more white, because you're doing the same thing over and over again. But you still have them written down on paper. I sold you.
Sold
you.
And specifically with Mary, when you get up close, you can see the hair. The hair
With the
gives it
little
away
waves.
when they had those close-up scenes with her. Like from afar, maybe not. You get like that tight, and you see, yeah, she one of us.
She got something in her. And which is interesting because that is really Haley Stanfield's real DNA makeup. She is
Right.
1/8 black. Yeah.
And
Well, she has
I
a black
think
great-grandparent.
when you get up on her, it's not just the hair. You can see some other ethnic features in there too. So it
That
was
little
not
olive
a
tone to the
hard
skin.
sell for her to be, you know, a white passing person.
That's what she is in real life, according to the one drop rule. But
Right.
we've gotten away from that, and now it's just what do you visually look like, and
Right.
how do you
Just
live?
mix.
So yeah, she just lives as a white woman. Yeah. In today's society. But I mean, knowing everything that she should have known as Mary, her talking about how they had sex on that train track, that's grounds for him getting killed. And then her showing up at the juke joint was grounds for all of them getting killed. Why is she in there? At any time, if a white person has seen her, they would have, whether she agreed to it or not, would have given as a reason to burn everybody in there because they accosted a white woman.
Right.
Like,
but
what
the
if the
black
plan
people
that came
are
later
already
that night?
accommodating. The black people are like, don't worry about her. She's family. Even though the wrong person, you know, those Klan people had come back up.
Yep.
She still would have got all of y'all killed.
Now, there was something that I saw that I didn't put this together, and I'm still not 100% sure I agree with, just because I don't want it to be true. But somebody talked about Mary and the way she got turned, because you don't see her get bitten. You just see her with a bite on her shoulder later. But the dress is clean.
Yeah.
And so somebody said that there's a good chance that she was assaulted, especially with the way like they were kind of touching on her and everything outside, that she may have been assaulted outside and bitten while she didn't have that dress on, and then put that dress back on and got sent back in there. Which is in line with the tragic mulatto trope that they always end up being sexually assaulted.
Yeah, because a bite on her anywhere would have had that dress bloody.
Yeah, but her dress is clean. To the point that when she walks in, they show her back when she's like sashaying up to the front and walking through everybody. And her back, you never know she's bitten anywhere. You don't see it until she's with Stack, and then you see her bite. And that's when people notice, like, how she bit and she ain't got blood on her nowhere because she ain't had that dress on when she got bit.
Were there any scenes in this movie that I'm not remembering where they show, you know how like in a lot of your other vampire lore, they have the ability to not necessarily hypnotize you, but seduce you? Did we see any of that in this movie?
No.
Okay.
No. If you want to say something like close to that happens, it's pretty much when people close to the ones that have been turned are slowly like breaking down, like Grace with her husband. When he walked up, like, come on, baby, let's go. And she's like, oh, okay, you all right? And she's like trying to go outside when Stack is talking to Smoke after he's turned. You know, because you can see him slowly trying to, and they have to like pull him back and close the door.
Right.
So,
and it's not necessarily seduction, it's just those family ties that you already had. You know.
Yeah.
Like even when Stack was dead, Smoke was like, this ain't no dead body, this is my brother.
Right.
It's a dead body.
You weren't trying to let him go yet.
Especially
that twin connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is why he couldn't kill him.
Is why he couldn't kill him. And going back to what I said before about Smoke being the evil twin, he did say the best part of me was him.
Yeah.
Probably his conscience, probably his Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder, you know, hey man, we ain't gotta do all that, you know.
Stack was the slick talking, you know, hustler,
and the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Because even when they're dealing with like getting those wooden nickels, and that's a real thing for anybody that doesn't know, plantations, sharecropping plantations dealing in only good here type of money. It's the same thing that Target and Starbucks and everything, they give you these Starbucks dollars or whatever. You can't spend nowhere but there. All the reward systems are just credit in the store. But when they were talking about that, and Stack is the one that said, "Now these people don't work their tail off all week. And we want them to feel welcome." Smoke was like, "We only taking real money." So even then, Stack was the voice of reason, you know. And then, like I said earlier, you never see him violent at all until he bit Annie.
Yeah, when he's turned is when he gets violent because he bites somebody else before Annie.
Yeah, he jumped somebody else before Annie, but yeah, he went to Annie, and they both were sad that he's the one that did it. You know, because they both were like, not,
And at that point, that's not even Stack anymore. Not really.
True.
Not really.
I mean, Stack talks about doing violent things, like walking up when they meet Delta Slim, and he talks about Delta Slim threatens Sammy. He threatens Delta Slim. He was like, "Yeah, and you won't do XYZ, whatever, because I'm gonna cut you." Da da da. So he threatens somebody, but an actual act of violence, we don't see him do it until he's turned.
But because he's been in the war and the life he lives, I wholeheartedly believe he is very capable of doing those things if he has to. He just would rather not.
Yeah, right. Hogwarth, the clan leader, when they're buying the mill from him in the beginning, he walks up behind him with his hand on the knife.
Yeah,
like he's ready for go time.
The knife is out.
Because that dude was never going to get to his gun in time. He was either going to be shot in the chest or stabbed in the back. Or both.
Speaking of, did anybody notice that, like, when they go to buy the sawmill, at first I was confused when I first saw the movie, because towards the end of the movie, Stack as a vampire says, "This ain't a sawmill, this is the slaughterhouse." And I was like, is it really a slaughterhouse? Like, did they do cows and stuff there? Because when they first buy it, they notice stains on the floor, and they're like, "Did you clean these floors?" And they're like, "Yeah, do you want to buy it or not?" But it really was a sawmill, but them clan people had done that same shit to somebody before. They had sold that building, and then came back around and killed them, and now they're selling the building again.
Yep. Constantly turning it over. So yeah, it was a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Just not for livestock.
Right.
Which is actually a pretty good business plan if you don't have a conscience.
Yeah. True. Zero overhead. You just got to keep selling the same building.
What about like people who sell used cars to people with horrible credit, knowing the car is going to get repossessed?
Yup.
Or break down.
Yeah.
And look, they told the Grand Dragon early in the film, like, "We don't want to see none of your clan buddies because y'all crossed our property line. We killing all of you." What? You know, I know why he didn't think that was going to happen, but still.
He figured if he came with enough people, because he didn't know that the Smokestack twins had military training. And all of guns.
He just figured they were just two uppity black Negroes coming in from out of town. And again, the segregation, because two parts of segregation here. The fact that they didn't know who the Smokestack twins were is one form. The other form, Grace and Bo owning two stores on opposite sides of the street, easy dividing line. One side is the white side of town, the other side is the black side of town. Because
historically accurate.
Right.
Walk from the black side of the street to the white side of the street to get her mother to come back to talk to her husband. And you can see
it's very intentional that the mother is working on the white side of the street. She's less threatening and easier to blend in. And then the daughter replaces her, while the mother goes back to negotiate. Yeah. But that was historically accurate. That if you notice at the end of the credits, that he's got a consultant for, like, Choctaw consultant, Irish consultant, Asians in the Delta consultant, African griot consultant. Yeah. He has all of that. And there's a documentary about the woman that he used as a consultant. That's how he found her, when she talked about the influx of Chinese specifically into the Delta, and how that's why they all have that same Southern accent as everybody else, because they've been there for 100-something odd years. And they would have stores for the black people and for the white people, because they just here to be merchants,
Right.
It's amazing history there. Also, while I'm thinking about it, before I forget again, because we got to get into the dancing and music scene. But before we get into all of it, one thing I want to bring up, in that scene, there are two Asian spirits that are there. And at first I thought they just wanted to throw them in because you had the Asians there. Then I realized, no. That is his ancestor who is a warrior and her ancestor who is a dancer. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful. They're there for a reason. These are your ancestors. Because when they burn the place down and they all like kind of dancing inside with the walls down or whatever, I'm like, now why they got this one dude doing martial arts? And that's when it hit me. That's his ancestor.
Yeah.
And he was a warrior. And then her ancestor was a dancer. I was like, that's beautiful. Now, let's talk about the best scene ever filmed, this musical history scene. It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Before you get into that, Joy, I want to compare, and I want y'all to think what I'm about to say. I'm gonna compare Sammy's what's his name? Miles
Canton, yeah.
Miles Canton, who I think his career is going to be amazing. This is his first movie.
Yep.
He never sang this his voice.
No, he's a singer already, but
maybe not the blues. He's a gospel.
Yeah, he's got a gospel family. He learned how to play the blues guitar in what, 2 months for this role?
Yeah,
for this role. Okay. Okay, so this his first acting. I think he's going to be amazing. What I wanted to say is that who he reminded me of when he first started was Jussie Smollett. When he first started, and he started singing that I can't remember that girl's name. When he was in on that TV show and they did that duet, how Sammy had did that duet. He was playing his instrument and then she came up and she was singing. It just reminded me, for some reason, while I was sitting in a movie theater, he just popped into my head. And I was like, wow, I can't believe he screwed up his whole fucking career. But it just made me think of him. It's like, okay, his career is going to start now and he's going to blow up. If not with this movie has opened the doors for him to go and do something else.
If nothing else, to be in the next Ryan Coogler movie.
That's what I was going to say. Right.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Get yourself a little Wakandan accent together, bro, because you in number 3.
Yup.
No, he needs to sing. he needs to sing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely. Talent shown through in this film, from beginning to end, from everybody involved. So especially the musical performances.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that they had, like I said, all the ancestors, the one electric guitar player from the future. I was a bit surprised that was the only future musician that they brought in. I was hoping we might have seen a couple more.
You did. You saw a DJ.
Oh, you're right. Yep, I forgot about the DJ. You're absolutely right. Yep, I forgot about the DJ.
You saw a DJ, and you actually saw two Crips and 2 Bloods.
In the kitchen. I might be lagging.
Yeah,
no, you're good, Joy.
Yeah, there were 2 women in the kitchen, twerking, if you will. and then there was 2 Crips and 2 Bloods. Because the Crips were Crip walking outside the gambling room. And then when they went into the gambling room, you saw 2 Bloods at the roulette table.
Yep.
So they basically had most of the centuries and the decades covered.
Yeah. Let's see if we got it back.
Yay.
You on time now?
I think so. Good. Yeah. But do you also notice in the kitchen you had the one Louisiana bounce girl who was like pee popping, and an African girl in there too, both of them doing a little booty pop, because that is not a new thing. And I love that they showed that, you know?
Yep.
And then you had the masquerade, which was the big thing with the quilt on and the little face.
Yeah.
There's a name for that. It's called, I believe it's called a masquerade, which represents, they still do that. The spirits with the hosiery on the legs and the little fluff things around. You can see that right now in Northern Africa, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I love the amount of work that he put into this movie. The man does his homework.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just not want to do a movie just to be doing it. He just does his research just to make sure that everything is screen accurate, not screen accurate, but just history accurate.
Period. Yeah.
Just like he did with the Aztecs and everything for Wakanda Forever, or the Mayans.
The Mayans,
yeah.
Yep.
And I agree that it was a wonderful movie, and I agree that he should win every award possible. But my issue with it was just because, I'm more of an entertainment person. I go to the movie for that feeling, that feeling when the movie's over that I've been entertained for however many hours. And I just didn't get that strong a feeling. But I do agree that the movie deserves all the awards,
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, because there was definitely a lot of education in the storytelling.
Right.
Yeah.
Half the movie is on the internet. You know what I'm saying? As far as people talking about what this means and what that means, and you find out later and then you see it again. Every time I've seen it, I've picked up something new. But if you just want to be entertained and not do homework, then I can see how. Because even the first time I watched it, the first half, I thought it drug on until they got to the nightclub and everything else. And then upon second repeat watching, since I already knew what was going to happen, it didn't seem as long. But I do remember that first time watching it, I was like, where the vampires at? Why we
exactly. That was my thing, because every trailer up until that point, y'all know how much I'm in the movie theater. So up until that point, what I'd seen and what I was ready for from the trailers was, just fire and brimstone and vampires and monsters, because that is all the trailers showed. Right. And then here comes the movie, and you're in the movie for a good hour and 15 minutes before you even get any action.
Listen to Delta Slim talk about the chain gang.
Literally thinking, what a vampire is that?
So speaking of Delta Slim, and real quick, Teresa, to your point, for me, this was the fastest 2 hours, 17 minutes that I've ever spent in my life, all 3 times. Because I literally felt like this movie was kind of short, and you look up, 2.5 hours are gone. And that's how much I enjoyed the film. So I know, I knew going in how long the movie was. It just didn't feel long to me because I enjoyed
it. It
didn't
feel Lord of the Rings long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anything feels Lord of the Rings long.
Avengers Endgame is Lord of the Rings long.
But
it
is.
But it
Lord of the Rings long?
But it doesn't feel like it though.
Yeah.
Endgame does not feel long at all. But to what you were saying about Delta Slim, when they were riding back after picking him up, he tells a story as far as what happened to him and his partners, as far as they end up lynching his boy or whatever. Delroy Lindo did an interview, and he talked about how that scene initially, I guess when they showed it to the test audience, was cut of him telling the story as far as what happened. Because when he starts humming, that's improvised. He's like, that's not in the script. Just the way he felt after reciting that bit of that monologue, basically, moved him in such a way to start humming. And I guess there's probably a little bit more because Stack turns around and tells Sammy, you got that guitar, don't you? We see Sammy pick up the guitar, but he doesn't play. And I'm guessing that there's probably a little bit more where Sammy actually plays to Delta Slim humming. And I wish that got left in the film as well, because that monologue that Delta Slim gives in the car is really powerful. And I get it. If you're there for the entertainment purposes, it can be kind of a downer. Just listen to him talk about how he came to be where he is. But that gives more, it gives more credence to the setting of that time period. Because again, they weren't really doing anything bad. They were just up and down, the Delta playing or whatever. And they happened to get caught because a white sheriff just saw 2 black kids out and was like, yeah, I got to
for vagrancy, which is a law they created to
for Black folks not to be out for any reason whatsoever.
They got caught for vagrancy, which was a law they created to Black people. Yep.
Right.
It's like if you were out, you had to be doing something, either going to someplace or coming from someplace.
I don't think that there's more to that.
I'm sorry, Joe, you cut out.
I'm lagging again, aren't I? I think I am. I'm gonna keep talking for a second. I'm gonna get this out. Y'all catch up with me in a second. So I know I'm lagging, but listen for me for a second. So I think that there's not any more to that Delta Slim and Sammy interaction in the car, because Sammy just learned to play the blues 2 months ago, and I don't think he is sufficient enough or proficient enough to improvise on the spot like that. That's why I think he picked up the guitar, but he's learned songs and he's learned certain tunes. I don't think he is at the level of improvisation with that guitar to do that while Delta Slim was humming a tune that he just made up on the spot. So that's why I think he hesitated, because he's like, I don't have the sheet music for this. But also the scene it didn't need to be much longer, so I think it just stopped right there. And now I'm gonna catch up.
That is all fair.
Makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
I hear where you're coming from. That's probably just more of a personal thing for me. Like, if there was something, if there's footage of him playing, me personally, I would like to see what he, came up with on the spot. But yeah, consider his age, because they do point out, like, you're young. Even when Mary realizes who he is, like, oh, you're old enough to drink. Let me get you some whiskey. Like, I'm gonna buy you a drink or whatever. So yeah, he is by far the youngest person in this film, which when he walks up on Perline and she's like, I'm married, by the way, and careful, boy, don't bite off more than you can chew.
Foreshadowing.
Like, right. In more ways than one. And he just staring her down like, I'm like, I was being caught. No, stop.
You know what? I saw a lot of people saying, like, he was a preacher boy, and that was his first time around a woman. I was like, shit, there's no way. He rolled up on her like he knew what it smelled like. You know what I'm saying? Like, he walked up on her like, she's like, I'm married. He goes, happily, and then he goes, I ain't always nice. I ain't always that young neither. Yo, he didn't dip something somewhere. He's
done something. I tell you that. Look, growing up, you were always told to stay away from preachers' kids and teachers' kids. Reasons for that. There was reasons for that.
See, I never heard about teachers' kids. Always preachers' kids, but I never heard about the teachers' kids.
Oh, because teachers' kids was always bad. They stay in trouble.
Same thing, except in school instead of church.
Fair.
But all the teachers' kids I knew, and here's the crazy thing: the teachers' kids I knew growing up never went to school where their parents taught. And that's probably why they always stayed in trouble. Their parents weren't there on site. So yeah.
We haven't talked about one me though. We haven't talked about Annie.
I'm gonna need a minute.
Wow.
I think Annie. I don't understand why their child passed away, and for him saying that to her was like, wow, how can you say that to me? But I believe she kept them safe.
Hurt people.
I believe she kept both of them safe.
Yeah, the pouch around his neck. She's like, and there's a moment when she's after he says that, and she's like, how you know I didn't pray for you? How you know the spirits that I congregate with, or whatever, weren't watching out for you and your crazy brother all the times? And as she's walking up, you can see like something with the camera and her voice. Like there's a tonal shift, like the spirits are speaking through her. Like, how dare you question what kept you safe all these years and brought you back here? Like you said, 2 arms, 2 legs, still working, able-bodied and everything, like not a scratch on you. Like, how do you know that this didn't work? And
but his response is justified though.
I understand, because you're hurt. You lost
like
a child.
The spirits didn't keep my child safe.
Right. And that is fair. But to her point, like, you standing here in front of me right now.
I hear you, but from his perspective, but my child isn't. And to him, yeah, I got this bag around my neck. You say it worked. Why didn't it work for my kid? Just from his perspective.
And so a lot of answers I have for that. One, sudden infant death syndrome is a thing. And so it's very likely that their kids just died in the night, because that happened a lot up until the 70s, I believe. Basically, people not understanding what that was doing. And also from a plot standpoint, if they didn't lose their baby, then Annie might not have had as much reason to not want to be a vampire as she did. And then Smoke may have chosen to go with his brother, because that's a strong tie there. But he chose Annie and his unborn child, or his child who had passed away. If that kid is not already with the ancestors, the desire to keep that bond open, knowing that that's what happens when you become a vampire, you lose that. The desire to keep that there may have been what helped keep him from turning, because all the other vampires, that's the reason Stack bit Annie, is because he's like, if I turn her, he'll come with her.
He'll come around, yeah.
And that's why when he killed her, when Smoke killed Annie, they were all like, no, not because they needed, some people thought that they wanted her magic. They needed her to pull Smoke in.
Because that aside from his brother, that's his weakness. Annie's his two weaknesses, his brother and Annie.
Yeah.
And Annie's a very good weakness to have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Zone. What was I saying?
You love Wani.
That's
I
okay.
do. I do.
We zoned out on Smoke and Stack. We okay. If we can do it, you can do it.
I do love Wani.
There was a picture that's not in the movie. Let me see if I can find it. There was a picture that was not in the movie that I was like, if I don't see these as wedding pictures all over next year, I'm gonna be mad.
Right. I saw that post, your post on Facebook.
Yeah.
I was like, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's gonna be James.
A strong woman and a strong man. Yep.
Huh? What?
You're right over there, James?
No, he's not. We're gonna see two of them in a second, because he is beside himself.
No, we're gonna see him turn the camera off, is what we're gonna see.
Camera stays on for the rest of the show.
But yeah, she really is. She's the hero and the magical Negro.
Now, what you saying, Joy?
I said she's the hero and the magical Negro of this movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
She has all the things that are needed to save everybody. She knows everything about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Since Choctaw didn't come.
The fact that she at first, I like how at first she thinks that they are Haints. Am I pronouncing that correctly? And then she's like, no, these are vampires.
And she look, that's part of the hoodoo or voodoo, if you will, teachings, like spirits replaced. And that was the difference. It's like the vampire, the spirit is trapped in the body, can't ascend to the ancestors. The Haints it's replaced by something demonic that takes over. And that, for lack of a better word, that permeates in other things in the film, because when Stack is telling Sammy as far as what happened to their father, and even later on when Smoke is telling him as far as, continuing to play music, Smoke says, like, after we, when we tried to run away, we went over to an all-black town, and Sammy was like, sounds like BS to me. It was like, nah, it's real, we seen it, but the mayor of the town knew our daddy and knew him to be an evil man and thought he passed that evil down to us, so he didn't accept us. So there's something in that. Like, you chalk that up for the theme of the film. The father is pretty much an evil man because maybe he was a Haint. You know, so he's telling Sammy like, "Hey, you want to play music? Stick in that church, or go to that proper black town and play music there." But like you said, I've never
because it's
known.
very possible.
We say
It's very possible that Sammy could have played that music in the church and opened the veil on the side, because they said it draws good and bad spirits. But he was in a juke joint, so he drew bad spirits to him instead of being in the church and drawing good spirits to him, which is a decision that even at the end of the movie, he still couldn't let that guitar go. And some people think it's because he chose the life of being, you know, a blues, chose the life of evil, but he didn't. He just wanted to sing the blues. And he knew it was the gift he had. He just maybe learned to control it a little bit better. Or Stack was watching out for him for the rest of his life. We don't know.
That too,
since he wasn't dead.
And that's another dichotomy that was played out throughout the film. The divide between gospel and blues, even though one is a direct influence on the other.
Right.
You know, especially in that era for our community. It's like you had to choose one. You can't do both. Like you can't be, because for obvious reasons, because of what was presumed to have happened around blues music being played. Like you couldn't be out Saturday night playing the blues and then in church Sunday singing gospel. That was frowned upon. Like, take a look at The Color Purple. Same thing. You know, it's like if you chose the blues, then you can't come back to the house of God until you repent. You know, and if you always in church, we better not never catch you down there at the blues joint.
We're gonna tell your daddy.
Right?
Yeah.
Daddy?
You get disowned from the family. You get disowned from the family or you know, shunned by the entire town. Because that was the thing that happened. I also like how the film opens up with Sammy in the fields basically getting his cotton quota out the way dumb early.
Yep.
Because he knew what was going to happen for the rest of the day. Like he knew he was hanging out with his cousins, and the who is it, Miss Beatrice walks up. It's like, I hear you playing tonight. You gonna tell me where? I gotta hear through the grapevine. You have a good day, Miss Beatrice.
Grapevine is
neither confirm nor deny.
Right?
Right.
Because again, that the whole thing of, yeah, I'm gonna be playing somewhere, but if I tell you and it gets out, it's gonna get back to my dad, which it eventually did anyway, because he goes looking for the guitar under his bed and it's already in the church with his father.
Either that or his father knew, since he was out extra early, my son is obviously up to something.
His father knew he had a gift with music and wanted him to use that gift to draw souls into the church. As opposed to drawing more heathens into the juke joint.
Yep.
Which is why he basically browbeat him with the Bible, if you will.
Yeah. What do you say? He threw a Bible at me on that old Mississippi road? Yeah. So I lied to you. Yeah.
Well, even going back further, when his father's like, help me with the sermon, he starts reading the passage of the Bible, but closes it halfway through and recites the rest from memory.
Right.
So,
which is what any good preacher's kid will do.
Right.
Because you've been forced to read that Bible since the time, like that's the first thing you learn to read. So a lot of stuff is committed to memory. So yeah, you can probably recite certain passages like the back of your hand.
Yep.
After a certain age, and that's what he was at that point. So,
and that's also probably why he wanted to sing the blues, because that the Bible and all of the church had been crammed down his throat all his life.
And he wants to see
he
something
didn't want
different.
to hear that anymore.
So he also says that to his dad, like, it's like, I done worked all week. Can I just have one day away from all this? Because his father tries to guilt him, like, what do you have to be that's more important than being in the house of the Lord? And he's looking at him like, ain't no service going on. Like, what do you mean? More important than being here? Like, if service, and for those of us raised in the church or raised in a, you know, very religious family, you in a church and there's no service going on, you kind of looking around at a young age, you look around like, why are we here? It's not Sunday, it's not service.
Can we go home?
Right. Can I be doing anything else but being here?
Especially if you're in a Southern Baptist home where all day Sunday, all night Wednesday. Oh yeah.
Yep. And maybe several services on Sunday.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was very happy that my parents were not super religious like that. If the Cowboys was playing, we didn't even go to church.
This just makes me so proud that I'm just Catholic. I got hour. That's it. Hour. And we are out. We know.
See,
we say what we need to say. Kneel. That's the only thing. It was just kneeling 4 or 5 times throughout the service. Say what we got to say. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Out.
Well,
Whereas
we were
I grew
Methodist,
up
so
in
we
a
weren't
divided
hanging as
house.
hard as the Baptists either.
Look, this is why I joke with the Baptists, because I'm like, look, I want to get in and out in 45 to an hour. Catholic again. Yay, Simone. Baptists hold you hostage. I mean, Baptists hold you all day.
Right?
Again, I grew up in a divided house. One parent was Baptist, the other parent was Methodist. Yeah, there was
Your Sunday's gone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Your Sundays, from the moment you wake up, your Sunday is spoken for.
Yep, pretty much.
Because there's the early bird service.
Yep.
The
Morning
early
service.
the regular service.
Yep.
And the regular service is supposed to start at noon. The choir don't start singing at 12:45. People don't start showing up till 1.
Now, see, you got for Baptist, you need to move all that back by about 2 hours.
Exactly. That's why I'm staggering everything.
the midday service would start at 10:45 and let out at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then there
was
about
nobody getting it till 12.
And then there was about an hour and a half break until afternoon service, and then evening service.
I couldn't have been Baptist.
Yeah.
Now you gotta pick your battles. Like I would show up for early service because they had to be done by 9 because the next service started. So you knew you had an end point. And I'll be in the choir and they'd be like, "You coming back for 9 o'clock?" "No, I ain't coming back for 9 o'clock." It's only 7. There'd be some more singers at 9 because the soprano section was empty at 7. It was me singing falsetto and 2 other girls. So we will not be back.
Right.
The sopranos apparently did not get up until 8:30.
They was at the club last night. Now they
was
up yet.
That's exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was.
Oh man.
Yeah. The only time
let's talk about the
night mass.
Let's talk about these post-credit scenes.
Oh yeah.
So this kind of ties into the post-credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only person who thinks that clearly Sammy was not a vampire because he grew old?
Yep.
Right.
But
I
remember,
thought he was at the church.
So that's where I'm going. Remember, at one point he got scratched across the face.
That's it. That was it.
When we
scratch is not a bite. Continue.
Hold on, James. Hold on. When we get to that scene, Sammy stands outside the church.
That's it.
Until his father tells him to come in.
In sunlight. In broad sunlight.
Again, James, I didn't say he is a vampire. I didn't say that. I'm saying something is going on with him. Something. I don't know what.
Ain't no halfway crooks here.
Again, hold on, because when you fast forward to the scene and the bar, the bartender is the only one with the reflection in the mirror.
He's not.
Sammy, Stack,
he's not.
Mary don't have reflections.
Wrong.
Sammy has
a reflection.
I looked specifically for that when
I purposely watched this, and this is why I saw it 3 times, because I wanted to see that scene multiple times. Sammy has a reflection. It's in the lower right corner of the mirror. Now, if they're trying to shoot the mirror and them in the same frame, the angle of how they shot that does allow it for the bartender to have a reflection, but nobody else. But you have to look very carefully in the bottom corner of that mirror, and you see Sammy's reflection.
You see,
so I
you
that
look
up
for
to
his hat, and you'll see the reflection because I
chalked that up to the angle that they shot that scene. Yeah.
But he's in there. And he actually goes into the church. He hesitates on the threshold, but he opened the door. And if you think about it, none of the other vampires
open the door.
Right.
They open the door to get out, but not to come in anywhere.
He
except when they were invited.
into the church He just,
it was just more of a, somehow he's infected. He has the power to sing, to bring the spirits from the past and the future. Is he a special type of vampire? What is he? What has he developed into? It just made your mind wonder on what the hell is the matter with Sammy.
Because they start the movie like that, where he opens the doors and he's on thresholds, and then they go through all of this, let me in through the whole movie. And so they do make you wonder, because he walks in after his dad says coming, they make you wonder for a second, is he about to eat everybody in this church? Like, you do think about that. Even though you see him in the sunlight, but you got the whole Blade Daywalker thing, maybe not. Like, you don't know. You still don't know, but then ultimately he's not a vampire.
Right.
He's just a sinner coming home to repent and hesitating, because he still don't want to give up them blues. No matter, even after everything that's happened to him, he still is like, but I want a juke joint.
Right.
Him driving away with that guitar held to his chest, the guitar handle, what number the handle? He really
right.
That's what I had seen. I'd have been at church every day.
Sinners got souls too, Daddy.
Yep. God's trying to tell you something.
Another great one. So also showcasing that a gospel voice and a blues voice is the same voice.
At the same time, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I did finally see at the top where old Sammy's playing in the mid credits where it says Perlene's, because I missed it the first 2 times I saw the film. Finally saw it the 3rd time. Took me a while, but yeah. So
and I do plan to see it again, so I may be more entertained because I know how long it takes to get to the vampires. Who knows?
It's a little better the second time around because it doesn't feel, because you're not anticipating, because you know when it happens.
Yes. So here's the theory that this is probably the only theory that I actually like that I've seen circulating around the internet about this film. Is when the Klan comes at the end of the film to kill Smoke and Stack, not knowing that Stack has already been turned. They try to open the doors to the mill and they're locked. And as they're trying to figure out, well, why the hell are they locked? Smoke starts taking them out from distance, one by one. Theory is that because we saw Mary run away, and the last time we see Stack is when he's wrestling with Smoke to save Sammy, that Stack stayed in the mill, and Smoke locked the doors, or had him lock the doors from the inside to protect him from the sunlight. And
Still got his back.
He's the one in there, and then maybe at some point later he goes looking for Mary when the sun goes down.
Stack had to bury all them dead white people, because otherwise somebody would have come looking for whoever did that. Now those guys are just missing. And Stack and Mary absolutely ate her husband. I promise you they did. They drained him dry. And they probably killed him and kept his money, and that's where they lived in that generation until they moved. Yeah. And then now they got generational wealth off eating his food.
Oh, and then the clothing, we have our beautiful Ruth E. Carter just doing all these clothes. So
she got 1992 down cold, because that's exactly what it looked like.
Damn sure did. I'm like, Ruth, you just nailed it from the time frame, from the beginning all the way to the end, and even the dancing, when you're pulling in all of the spirits, is just, she does her homework too. She does her homework too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
My thing is, if I see her name attached to anything, she should just automatically get the award for best costume design.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
And I like how they know now just to stay out of her way. It's not, okay, this is what I want, make this. You know, just like the Black Panther, she had to tell them, no, they don't fight in that. They're not going to fight in that. that's a different type of outfit, but I do want it in the movie. Yes, we need to have this in the movie. That's why they made it the water scene, the waterfall scene. How are you going to fight in that? That's ridiculous.
So now they know just to let her cook.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just bring the ingredients, put it down, get the fuck out. Let me finish. Let me create.
And I'll say this. Proof that listen to Black women save your lives, because everyone listened to Annie that night after folk got bit. They pretty much lived up until Grace lost her shit.
Yep.
But y'all don't like to hear that. Not y'all.
They should have hit her over the head. I just would have just clunked her, knocked her ass out. She'd be all right. Like the sun will come up. If we stay in here, the sun will come up. We'll be okay.
Right. That's all they had to do was wait on the sun.
And if you think about how quick that fight scene went when everybody came in, that was like an hour. Right? They had to wait an hour for the sun come up. And she couldn't wait. And Delroy, Delta Slim tried to tell her, and they're not leaving. They seem like they're staying here. They weren't going after her daughter. They were staying there because they wanted Sammy. They weren't leaving. And so she ruined it for everybody.
They used her daughter as bait to get her to come out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was, listen to Annie.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Perline did almost get herself thrown out.
Right.
Perline was tripping. Girl, you better eat this
garlic. They pass around garlic. I'll take 2, thank you.
Right.
Especially after I see Smoke pull out a gun and almost shoot Annie. If I'm after Perline, let me just get 2 just to make sure.
Yep. I'm not trying to get shot nor bitten. Give me the garlic.
And again, Smoke protecting people through violence. Pop Sammy in the mouth. Shut up, boy. I'm trying to save your life.
Hey, sometimes sometimes that's what's necessary.
Come on, Smoke, man. She ain't over. Shut the up.
Right. You just met her. You don't know what she is.
Right. You turned out over a woman 10 years older than you. I mean, I get it.
He's strong and he ain't even had none yet.
We don't know that. That might have been just foreplay back there.
Right.
They had
time. That's fair. That's fair.
But
can we talk about how Perline got her whole life changed back in that room? Because she seemed like she was
and then Stack outside the door going, "Oh, I guess that boy found that button."
And then told Grace to come in and check on his cousin.
Right. Grace is like, I mean, you knew what was going on. But she came back out on that she came back out on stage like Meg the Stallion. Like she just like, look at me.
Right.
I'm gonna crawl across the stage.
Life has changed
right
since you came in.
On the button.
Oh God.
I understand you said you was married, ma'am. Maybe you're not happily married. Not sure.
She never answered that. She did say she was married and walked away unhappily.
But clearly he did not bite off more than he could chew.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
And like they said, don't let your husband stand in the way of finding your true love.
Oh God.
Oh man. Whew. Any other thoughts about this film before we get out of here for the evening?
I can't wait to see what comes next in the Sinners universe. I'm hoping we get another story in this universe.
Chop top.
Right.
That's what I'm
and the thing I love is it doesn't have to be because we've got the Chop, it doesn't have to be a sequel. It can just be, because what I would love to see is their story being told, and then there's just a quick flashback to that scene from Sinners.
Right. It could be a prequel.
Just be a real quick little piece, and then they go right back to their own story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like maybe they chased him and he got away, but there might be more that they had to.
Right.
Nobody says there's only one vampire in the United States. That's just what we know about.
Because clearly you wouldn't have a team that well prepared. At least I don't think you would have a team that well prepared just to chase down one person.
Right. Y'all are a squad. Y'all a hit squad.
Right. That's what they do.
Yeah. And this is just me spitballing, but from how prepared they were, it's like wherever Remick was hiding out, they found out, obviously, chased him out of that spot, wherever he was hiding, because he had to be hiding somewhere during the day to not burn. Because the first time we see him is like he's jumping into the frame already smoldering. And it's just before sunset. So they was probably tracking him all day and was trying to get him before the sun went down because he knew he was going to be a bigger threat.
Yep. And as the sun is going down, hey, sun's going down, boss. We out. Let's go.
Right.
Your one's getting mighty low.
Time to go.
But you know, I love the fact that they found the word firebringer for Choctaw, because it could be that the prequel is how the vampires, maybe one or more, were attracted to them as they did their ceremonies and whatnot. And that's how they developed this ability to be good vampire hunters, because they've been doing this for 200 years or something. You know?
True indeed. True indeed. All right.
Yes. 10 out of 10.
Somebody needs
Perfection.
to write to Ryan and let him know.
Oh, I'm sure he's.
I'm pretty sure he's aware.
Yeah, he's aware.
He knows.
And just one thing to close it out with: have you guys seen or heard the rumor that he's working with, currently working with Gillian Anderson on rebringing the X-Files back?
Yes,
I heard that. I don't know if
Yes.
it's true.
I haven't seen a reliable source though. I've seen it with several different, podcast or channel, but none of it is reliable yet. So until I see Ryan,
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm not getting excited.
The chick that played Scully.
Yeah, Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson.
She said she'll be in it. No, not she'll be in it. He's not gonna have her as the character. She has a reoccurring, some type of reoccurring. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I would be down because the X-Files is one of my all-time favorite shows.
The X-Files is wild, yo. They used to do some wild shit.
Yes.
The Inbred episode is one that haunted me for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
But that's my favorite kind of show, of like spook of the week type thing.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm guessing everybody saw the trailer for him.
That's gonna be, that's gonna be wild too.
Yeah.
Never would you make a horror story about football. That's just crazy. Let's do
it. And I find it interesting that trailer drops the weekend this movie comes out with the draft, NFL draft we just had this past weekend. So basically the weekend before the draft, this trailer comes out.
I'm sure
they
it was
knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Good detail.
I like that timing. Things done with a purpose intentionally. So yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it for us for the evening. We thank y'all for joining us for these two wonderful movies. If you have been spoiled by either, good. Now go back and watch them.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Both of them, yes.
Now you know what you're looking for.
Yes. Take your notebook and watch it with notes and pay attention to what you see.
And you need to watch Sinners at least twice, because I guarantee you on the second watching, you're going to see something you missed the first time.
Yep.
Especially in that dance scene. There's so much going on in there.
So, all right. Well, we will catch you all next month for After Dark Presents Whatcha Watchin. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. There's so much stuff. Probably.
Right.
We'll find something.
We'll find something.
It's going to be good.
It's probably going to be mostly MCU, considering Daredevil season 1 ended and Thunderbolts comes out this weekend.
I guess I need to go watch Daredevil at some point.
So
I need to finish it.
Yeah, I need to finish it. So we'll finish it and then we'll talk about that.
But however, be sure to join James and I in just a couple of weeks.
We will be talking about the NFL draft and all the shenanigans that went down there. So we thank y'all for joining.
Okay.
We thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Good night, Gracie.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it cedar lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.